Change is automatic. Your body's gonna change whether you want it or not as the years go by. And no matter how hard you work, there's gonna be some changes going on there. The economy is gonna change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is gonna change. Relationships are gonna change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you wanna make real progress, then you really gotta look at your life in a different way. You gotta say, I gotta take control of this process and not just hope it's gonna work out like people do who make a resolution. Because really, isn't that what they're really doing at the beginning of the year? They're saying, well, here's my resolutions for the year, and they really basically tell you their wishes. It's their wish list. It's what they hope it all comes together. And then they call it a resolution, but they don't know what a resolution is. When you resolve something, to have a resolution is to resolve it. When you've resolved, this is how it's gonna be. That's when you cut off any possibility except the thing you've committed to. It's like the old adage, if you wanna take the island, you burn the boats. Because when you burn those boats, there's no going back. You're gonna find a way to make things work. Most people think, well, I wanna get that, because they've been modeling somebody else, and that might work on how to achieve something. It'll never work for what to fulfill you. How many people you know, like you, got what you thought you wanted, and you weren't fulfilled? Right. And that, I always tell people, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. The ultimate failure, because if you go at something and you fail and you're an achiever, you don't fail. You go, I learned something, I'll just try something else. Right. I'm gonna still get there. But when you succeed and you're not happy, I'll tell you what I believe. I believe our lives are controlled by one force, decisions. I certainly believe in force greater than myself. Call it God if you will, grace, whatever you want to call it, the universe. But I also believe it gives us choices. And the decisions we make control us much more than the conditions we meet. It's not the conditions, it's your decisions. Decisions what to believe, decisions what to do, decisions what to give. I say to people, think about, look back 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and think of a decision you made. That if you would have made a different decision, you'd have a totally different life today. Better or worse, I don't know, but totally different. The most important decision you can make above any on the face of the earth is deciding that no matter what happens in your life, no matter what happens, you're gonna live in a beautiful state. The decision to say, I am not gonna suffer, that if suffering arises, pain's one thing, suffering's another. Suffering is when you're like, suffering could be worry, it could be anger, it could be frustration. It's anything that takes you out of a beautiful state. And here's what people don't get. You can end suffering by stop focusing on yourself and focus on something you want to serve greater than yourself. Your children, your wife, your mission, your life. You can get out of it in an instant because the nature of the human mind is to constantly compare things.
Your real life, the one God really got for you, is in your imagination. It is not in your current situation or your current paycheck. And if you've been living like that, you have then restricted yourself to a commonality that is really not yours. Because what really God got for you is really in your imagination. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when I told you a minute ago, you gotta have a tremendous work ethic, but you gotta have a lot of faith. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost the faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop up. You just kind of hope something happen for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10. I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV and turn that in. But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. It's just hope. You just got to start with the hope. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. You just hope something. Then what happened is through grace and favor, he give you a couple of them things you hope for, and then you're supposed to start believing then. Because now it turns into faith. But if you take this scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. What is the evidence of things not seen? I just told you. Albert Einstein said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. But guess what? Your imagination really is. It's the evidence of things not seen. Because your imagination, you know why it's the evidence of things not seen? Because you're the only one can see it. Your imagination is actually God showing you a preview of a coming attraction that he has for you. The moment you don't believe in your imagination, you negate what he got for you. Your imagination is the preview to life's coming attraction. It is the evidence of things not seen, because can't nobody see it with you. Your problem is you keep telling your imagination to the wrong people. See, if you want to kill a big dream, tell it to a small-minded person. It's dead. How many times, man, have you had a tremendous idea, something you thought was the one, and you went and told it to your loved ones and your so-called friends, and they shot it down?
That most people like to feel like they're a king in the area of their comfort zone. They only want to do those things that they know how to do well. Osborne said, unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. So if you want to begin to grow, you've got to put something out here that you can't reach easily, that has got to make you stretch, got to make you jump for it, got to make you get back a little bit and dig in so that you can take a leap for it. And maybe you jump up there and you miss it and you skin your knees and you come back again and you bust your lip next time. But you keep on, and through that process, you learn how to leap higher. You start challenging yourself to dig deeper, and then you discover some things about you that you don't know right now. Some talents that you have in you that you didn't know that you can do. I started out just talking to kids, and now I'm speaking at corporations. Now I'm traveling. I didn't know I can do this, but had I not given myself a chance, and I'm saying to you, give yourself a chance. Here's something else. If you want to begin to make your stuff happen for you, I think that it's very important that you start trusting yourself. Listen to yourself. Listen to that still small voice within you. Don't try and make everything logical. There are some things about life that defies logic, that you just can't explain how the outcome is going to be. That once you begin to trust yourself and your ideas and your instincts, life takes on a whole new meaning, because now I want you to do that feeling that you are led. Just feel. I am led. I remember the worst speech I had ever given in my life. I let someone exploit a fear that I had. For years, I had a tremendous inferiority complex because I'm not college educated. And this person knew this. And she said, let me write this speech for you. You're going to speak at Ohio State University. Those people are very educated there. And they're going to know when you make grammatical errors, and they're going to know because of the substance of your speech that you are not literate. I care about you. I don't want you to embarrass yourself.
Here's the strategy for success of the secret, right? Go into your house and into a quiet room, and you close the lights, draw the shades, and sit on a couch and visualize a big fat check. 25 G's, $1,000 US. Okay, with your name on it. And I want you to imagine that check and just make that check go bigger in your mind and make it real, more real, and just put it out into the ether of the universe, and the law of attraction will take hold. Just think about it. Right? Hello? If that's your strategy for success, the only thing that will show up in your mailbox is not the check, it's a freaking eviction notice from your landlord. They'll be towing away your car. Your wife or your husband will be over the next door neighbor, and you'll be still saying, where's the check? Where's the check? Okay? The secret is a load of crap. Okay? Do I believe in manifestation? Yeah! Damn straight I do. But you gotta take action. I'm one of those unfortunate people. I tried it. I really did. So I tried it. Because I read the books, well, let me try, you know? So I sat there and I prayed for the check. Never came. But when I went out and started taking action, guess what? The check came with an extra couple of zeros.
It was so magnificent for me. You know, my father died on November 7th. But it was so powerful for me to be cleansed of box office. Like, I don't need the box office to be huge on this film. I don't need to win any awards. You know, I don't care. It was the film that I worked on that I was actually able to comfortably and beautifully say goodbye to my father. And I hope that this film embodies a bit of that, so other people who are experiencing things like that will be able to use it in that way, and it can potentially be helpful and help someone else. So it was powerful to be cleansed of the foolishness of the game of numbers and awards and all of that type of stuff, to actually be able to create a piece of art that legitimately I just want people to see and hope it can be helpful and transformative in their lives.
You're talking about perspective.
Perspective, absolutely, yes, yes.
How much does fear play into preventing us from grasping perspective?
Oh no, fear is everything. Yeah, like if there was one concept that I would suggest to people to take a daily confrontation with, is fear. The problem with fear is that it lies.
What I think is going to happen is I will be discovered, because I want it so badly. Somebody's going to have to discover me. And she said, you just dream. You dream, you're a dreamer. So when it happened, I called her up. I said, you will not believe this. I got discovered. And it really was a discovery. It's like one of those Lana Turner stories, only it wasn't a drugstore. He was in his hotel room, saw me on TV. It was unbelievable. So the interesting thing about that is that I truly believe that thoughts are the greatest vehicle to change power and success in the world. Everything begins with thoughts. I mean, the chairs that we're sitting in, the room that we're in, all started because somebody thought it. So I thought up The Color Purple for myself. I know this is going to sound strange to you. I read the book. I got so many copies of that book. I passed the book around to everybody I knew. If I was on the bus, I'd pass it out to people. And when I heard that there was going to be a movie, I started talking it up for myself. I didn't know Quincy Jones or Steven Spielberg or how on earth I would get in this movie. I'd never acted in my life, but I felt it so intensely that I had to be a part of that movie. I really do believe I created it for myself. I wanted it more than anything in the world and would have done anything to do it. Anything to do it.
So, I worked at laboring jobs for several years. I worked in construction, I worked on farms and ranches, I worked in factories putting nuts on bolts hour after hour. And one day, in a state of frustration, I began asking this question: why is it that some people are more successful than others? Now, in the Bible, there's the line that says, seek and ye shall find, for all who seek findeth. Ask and the door will be open. So I began asking other successful people, what are you doing differently from me? And they told me, and I did it, and I got better results. I got into sales when I could no longer get a laboring job, like many of you. And in sales, I noticed that one of the guys in my company was making 10 times as much as anybody else, and he was selling the same product out of the same office at the same price to the same people under the same conditions, and he was making 10 times as much as anybody else. So I went and asked him, what are you doing differently from me? And he told me, and I did it. Now, what I discovered, which changed my life and which brought us here today, is I discovered the law of cause and effect. The law of cause and effect, sowing and reaping, action and reaction, is the great universal or iron law of the universe. What it says is that everything happens for a reason, is that there are no causeless effects, is that even if we don't know what is causing the effect, we trace it back. It's the basis of the scientific process, of all medical research, of all marketing, of all business, is if you can define an effect that you want, you can trace it back and find somebody who at one time did not have that effect, and then find out what they did, and then do the same things, and you eventually get the same results. We say that success is not an accident. Failure is not an accident. Success leaves tracks. So if you just follow the tracks of other successful people, no matter where you're starting from, you eventually get to the same place that they get.